now. Okay, so I'm Jalissa.
And my name's Cortez, and we're actually here to present Tyler's model. Tyler's objective model was first created in 1949 with the purpose of measuring students' progress towards objectives. It matches the pre-behavioral objectives with the actual outcome. This model is based on the objective-oriented theory, and it uses curriculum to aim towards an educational object. Tyler's model is formed according to 3 educational goals, which include the student, the society, and the subject matter, along with 2 other goals involving a psychology of learning and a philosophy of education. Measurable objectives are then transformed from the result of these goals, and this model can only be used to evaluate those with clear and stable objectives. So what this means is that before deciding to use the Tyler model, an evaluator must first make sure that objectives of the program being evaluated are clear and stable while using the program. Again, if the objectives are not clear and stable, then the Tyler model should not be used. Let's go to the next slide. So with that being said, there are 3 basic steps that must be taken in order for the Tyler model to work. First, instructional objectives must be specified. Second, performance data must be collected. And finally, performance data must be compared with the objectives that are specified. Let's go to the next slide. So with talking about the decision-making process here, there are 4 areas of focus in the procedure of this model. So remember these 4 things. You must determine educational purposes or objectives, identify or select learning experiences, organize learning experiences, and evaluate the student's performance. As mentioned in the VNU Journal of Foreign Studies, the principles of Tyler's model engage the answers to these questions here. First, what should the educational objectives of the curriculum be? What learning experiences should be developed to enable students to achieve the objectives? Question number 3 is, how should the learning experiences be organized to increase their cumulative effect? And finally, how should the effectiveness of the curriculum be evaluated?
And the benefits of Tyler's model is that it's objective oriented. When the objectives are being used, it will take into consideration the needs of the students and the school. It also engages students and gives them opportunities to grow, keep them engaged in the activities. It also determines specific goals rather than general goals that do not lead to good learning opportunities. And finally, it also develops student behaviors. The target of this curriculum of teaching is for students to develop behaviors. And some limitations of the Tyler's model is that you have to constantly reevaluate. Since the objectives are based on student needs, they would need to be reevaluated because the needs of students are always changing. There's also no feedback mechanism to tell how to deal with improvements. And finally, it doesn't really apply to all subjects or the design of subject content, which limits student learning.
Mhm.
As for my recommendation, I think it should be used, but it should be based on the needs of students. If it doesn't meet the needs of your students, then it's probably not something for you to use in your school.
Mhm. And I'll be the little devil's advocate here. And if I were to ask if I were recommended or not, I would actually probably say no for a couple of different reasons. First, I believe it's an outdated model, being that it originated in the 1940s, and education has changed in many ways. It requires more agile adjustments. And also, secondly, the Tyler model is not useful for a diagnosis of reasons why a curriculum has failed. So, whenever data is being collected in reference to curriculum or any other educational purposes, I think it needs to always be collected with the intent to make it better and find out like which reasons, find out reasons why there was success or no success. And it needs to be evident and kind of almost as if it was the approach taken as if it was an action research study that was being conducted. And, you mentioned a couple of other things, like it's not useful for all subject areas. So to each their own with it, but I would probably say no on a recommendation. But other than that, these are our resources. So if anyone would like to see where we got our information from, feel free to visit those resources there. But other than that, thank you for your time on listening. Hope you learned a thing or two more about the Tyler model, and have a good one.